Okay, it's noon here in Bethesda, Maryland on Wednesday, September 15th. And this is news that you can use with Zach and, well, normally Ray and Zach. But today, Zach's on a train, probably thinking up his next hyperbolic headline for our next show. So we have Justin filling in from our EV channel again. And Justin, how are you this afternoon?
Oh, I'm still speechless, Ray. We can get into that in a minute, but I just visited my local Ford dealership, so that's really what's on my mind right now. Kind of surprised me with some things I saw there at the dealership in terms of dealer markups. But Ray, that's our headline today. Ford is done with car dealers. Well, they're trying to find a way to nudge them out of the way, I guess.
Are they? Are they really?
I,
Um,
oh
I mean,
man,
not to beat on my son at all, but is Ford really done with car dealers? That's
nah.
not what I take out of it. I take out of Ford's headline from yesterday, and I guess I should pull it up for those who didn't see it. I know we spent some time on it yesterday, but let me pull it in. Um, Yesterday, Ford announced Ford dealers must set no haggle prices and invest up to $1.2 million to keep selling EVs. Um, so, I, when you read it, there's a couple different levels involved with how Ford's trying to set this up, but it doesn't read that they're trying to do away with car dealers. It reads that they're trying to reimagine how their electric vehicle dealers will sell cars as opposed to how their ICE vehicle dealers sell cars. I didn't see anything in there where they say, "Gee, we hope to just sell direct to the public." Did you?
No, I did not. But I think Zach and I both feel that that could be where this is eventually headed for the electric vehicle wing. And I don't envision that it would ever be strictly uh, delivery centers like Tesla does for Ford EV sales. I think there'd be a mixed bag. If you asked me what would buying an EV from Ford look like in 2030, I am actually pretty confident that there would be the direct to consumer route as an option for buying a Ford EV based on some of the stuff we've seen with the development of Model E. But I think dealers will remain on the scene just to a smaller extent. Now, let me get into what I'm really thinking about right now, Ray, because just 1 hour
Please.
ago, I went to the wonderful Ramey Ford in Princeton, West Virginia. It's about 10 miles from where I live. Very small town Ford dealership. I went there for two reasons, with two goals, really. To test drive the F-150 Lightning because I did not expect them to have a demo
Uh
here in
huh.
small town West Virginia. We're far from any
Sure.
major city. There are not even any fast chargers anywhere close to here unless you own a Tesla. And then I also wanted to see what their take was on the latest news that we're talking about right now with Ford's EV plans. Now, first, I'm still speechless because you know how much this F-150 Lightning Platinum was priced at? Give me a guess, Ray. What do you think the only F-150 Lightning Platinum for probably 75 miles around would be priced at? And I test
Uh,
drove it.
now, now the platinum. I'm assuming that's the
Throw some
highest,
guesses in the chat, you guys.
and I'm guessing that's the highest trim level.
Highest trim level, yes, it had all the
So,
bells and whistles.
so
F-150
I'll
Lightning
guess that
Platinum,
the MSRP, the manufacturer's suggested price, is somewhere around $85,000. And
93.
how much?
93 is the MSRP.
Okay, so I was close, and I'm guessing that even that small town dealer is probably asking somewhere around $125,000 for it.
All right, I'm gonna give like 10 more seconds to see what the people in the chat say because no one's been right on the money yet, but we're getting a little close. I was blown away at the price tag. I did test drive it, and while we get a few more guesses in the chat, I will say that it drove like a beast. I loved driving it. I'm never gonna buy one, but I honestly loved the vehicle, and I couldn't help but think if only this was I don't know, more affordable to the people who actually are in the market for an F-150. Someone who can spend over 100 grand on an electric truck, they might be interested in a Rivian, which we had Kyle Connor over on the YAA Electric channel yesterday, and he said that was his favorite EV is the Rivian R1T. It's so capable. But if you're looking for a work truck, I don't think you would want to spend $140,000 on the F-150 Lightning. That was the price on the window. 140,000 on the dot.
Oh my God! So the dealer markup was what? That's $47,000.
Something like
The
that. Yep,
additional
yep,
dealer
yep.
markup.
47,000. Yep.
Holy mackerel! Um,
Yeah.
do they ever expect to really sell it, or are they pricing it at that level to keep it strictly as a demo?
Well, they can't sell it yet.
Okay.
Once the demo period is over, they plan to sell it at that price. And I asked him about it. The guy who was trained in the F-150 Lightning, he was awesome. He definitely knew all about the truck and was a big fan of EVs, which that's small town America. It's good to see some people interested in EVs. But he admitted, like, yeah, it's super marked up. He said it's because they were told to not expect any allocations anytime soon. They had no idea when they could ever get another F-150 Lightning at their tiny dealership. So that's what they've got. And it sounded to me, based on what he was saying, it's a little bit of speculation on my part, sounded like he wanted to hold on to it as long as they possibly could because honestly, he loved it. He loved
Yeah.
driving that truck around. I don't think he wanted to let it go for anything near what it was worth.
His rationale is, let's keep it priced that high. So, well, I have this vehicle to demonstrate to whatever potential customers there might be, and I hope I can go on 4 or 5 demo rides a day because I absolutely love this truck.
Yeah, and he told me that they've sold Mustang Mach-E's at that dealership too. So I guess they're interested in EVs, but Ray, what I went into next with them after test driving it and slamming the pedal and getting to 60 in like 4.5 seconds, it was wild. Um, Loved the truck, but what I was really there for was to see what they thought about this big news out of Ford yesterday. Um, I first found the sales manager and introduced myself. I didn't say that I was from YAA, but I'm a local. I don't have
Yeah.
to do that, right? And I brought up the new proposed rules, and the first thing he said was, "Oh, I'm not familiar with that yet. I was off yesterday." So, I mean, it was I guess 10:30 a.m. over here Eastern time, and he had not been briefed on the proposal at all. But then I found someone else who had,
Uh
and he
huh.
had some interesting insights to share. So both of them said that their dealership is committed to selling EVs and they're actually pretty big fans of EVs. They think they're awesome. They love driving them around. They're here in West Virginia, people don't take any BS. So they're very realistic about the challenges that lie ahead in EV adoption, especially here in rural America. They
Hmm.
know that charging infrastructure sucks right now. They know that 95% of people are not going to spend $100,000 on a truck here in West Virginia. But with that aside, they had hope for the future and they said, yes, they plan on selling EVs in the future. And we talked about the two options Ford is giving them, which, Ray, if you want to pull that up on the screen, we can go over that again.
Well, you know what? I hate sharing the screen, but I can
I've
tell
got
you
it.
this:
I've got
it was an initial investment. If you want to be the elite, certified elite, the initial investment was $900,000,
Yep,
with
right
an
here.
additional $300,000 in future investments. Or if you just want to be the lower level EV dealer, the initial investment is $500,000.
Yeah, and I brought this up to one of the higher ups there. I wasn't quite sure what his position was, and I said, "Well, which of these tiers are you guys thinking about?" And right away, he knew that there was an October 31st deadline. That is, in my opinion, an unfair deadline. That is quick to be talking about so much money. And he just, he didn't answer the question if they would go for Model E certified elite or Model E certified. They're probably still thinking about it. However,
Hmm.
what he did say that stuck with me is he sarcastically said, "Hey, at least they're giving us a choice, right?" Yeah, that sums it up right there. But he was passionate about EVs, and I mean, here's what I wanted to ask you, Ray, and something that I thought about. For a dealership, let's say a mid-sized dealership, how much of their budget would a $1 million investment be for like their annual operating budget? Is that a drop in the bucket? I'd imagine it's a lot more than that.
Uh, it's way more than a drop in the bucket. Even though dealerships have been more profitable than ever the past 2 years, um, $1 million investment is a huge investment. Okay, and your smaller dealers, I mean that is substantial. And one of the things you have to realize is that about every 10 years, the manufacturer comes to you and they go, well, we've reimagined what the corporate image should be, and what the dealerships should look like. So we're anticipating that you need to make, I don't know, about a $10 million investment to update your facility. So $1 million investment in between is a huge deal for a dealership, especially if they haven't established what the margins are going to be. I'm excited for that rural dealer to be wanting to sell EVs, but I read somewhere today that the margin built into a Mach E from invoice to MSRP is about 3%.
Yeah.
Well, who the hell is going to invest $1 million if the margin is going to be somewhere between 3 and 5% on their electric vehicles in the future, and they won't be able to mark them up? So I don't, I'm sure there's any number of dealers that are going to want to do it, but I think they're going to want to be convinced that there's going to be inventory available to support it and to underwrite the extra expense. And I don't think dealers are going to be happy with a 3 to 5% profit margin structure built into the vehicles.
No, I didn't want to dive in saying the T word, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's pretty clear that they're thinking about Tesla, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
the cutest thing about this proposal from Ford is that it seems like they're trying to somehow be like Tesla in the sense of offering public-facing DC fast chargers. Tesla superchargers. That's
Yes.
by far the largest public charging network in the nation right now. Ford is taking the tiniest of baby steps into the public fast charging realm by requiring that Model E certified elite dealers will offer 2 DC fast chargers, one of which must be public facing. That means me and my lovely Ioniq 5. Those of you EV haters out there, I don't care what you say because I love my Ioniq 5. Well, if I want to pull up to Ramey Ford in Princeton, West Virginia, and plug in at the Ford dealership, if they're Model E certified elite, they're going to have to offer me that fast charger. And that's just kind of the tiniest of baby steps that kind of blew my mind, that Ford is saying, hey, we're going to become somewhat of a charging network. And that, to me, that puts a burden on dealerships to be bringing the public into their dealership and saying, yeah, we're trying to sell you these $140,000 F-150 Lightnings, but if you want, you can charge your 6-year-old Chevy Bolt over there on the corner if you want. But I don't know. It's just wild. It's wild.
Well, part of the rationale would be that if somebody is charging their vehicle at the Ford dealership, something other than a Ford, and it's still going to take 20 minutes,
Yeah, you
they'll
want to
walk
look around.
around and they'll look at the Ford EVs. So the hope would be
true.
that you can convert a percentage of those people into customers. So I get that aspect of it, because everything that dealerships are set up to do is to try and figure out in what little bit of time they might have with a customer to figure out a way to convert them into a customer, somebody that's actually going to spend money there. So that aspect of it makes sense. It's just the P word, the profit word, and how long it's going to take you to pay off that $1 million investment. What is the return on that investment? So, I still think that there's issues to be ironed out. And my guess is that there's conversations which will be more like negotiations between the Ford dealer body and Ford themselves so that they can come up with enough of a profit structure that the Ford dealers will want to continue being electric dealers and working on putting in that extra $1 million investment. Now, if I may, Justin, there was some other interesting news yesterday, and it concerns the FTC proposed regulations. And I am going to share my screen for this because, well, I just have to, not because I'm good at it, not because I really want to, but because I have to. So
just keep it PG, Ray.
What was that?
Just keep it PG for us, okay?
I promise I will. So yesterday, as you know, we talked about 6 senators who wrote a rather lengthy letter to the FTC, um, uh, stating that reasons that they're against the FTC proposals, and it parroted in the first paragraph every one of NADA's talking points. So it was as if the NADA, North American Dealers Association, um, had actually written this letter on behalf of the 6 senators. And the 6 senators, again, for those of you who don't remember, don't know, were Senator Cynthia Lumens, Senator John Thune, Senator Todd Young, Senator Shelley Moore Caputo, Senator Mike Lee, and Senator Dan Sullivan. So there were 6 out of 100 senators that have said, hey, these rules and regulations are not well thought out, and they shouldn't go into place. Um, and then and then we found out today. Um, let's see. Do I stop? I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I want to share my screen again.
Probably going to go to a different tab.
Okay, I just have to go to a
So
different
stop
tab.
sharing that one first. Stop sharing. See,
How do I stop screen?
Yep.
Oh, buddy,
you got this.
Yeah, you really can teach old farts new tricks. And I definitely qualify as an old fart. So, and then today we got wind of 18 attorney generals from 17 states and the District of Columbia got together and sent a letter off suggesting strongly to the FTC that they implement these proposals, that there are real reasons that we need clarity and transparency and pricing and things of those natures. And I just want to scroll to the bottom so I can give you the names of the, oh my God, this is so long, of the 18 attorney generals, the attorneys general who wrote to the FTC in support of the rules and regulations. It's Rob Bonta from California, Philip Weiser from Colorado, William Tong from Connecticut, Kathleen Jennings from Delaware, Carl Racine from the District of Columbia, Stephen Levins from Hawaii, Kwame Raoul from Illinois, Tom Miller from Iowa, Brian Frosch from right here in Maryland, Maura Healey from Massachusetts, Keith Ellison from Minnesota, Matthew Platkin, the acting attorney general of it doesn't say what state, New Jersey, Hector Balderas from New Mexico, Letitia James from New York, Ellen Rosenblum from Oregon, Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, Peter Nerona from Rhode Island, and Bob Ferguson, and not the same Bob Ferguson who used to be the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals, but Bob Ferguson, the attorney general from the state of Washington. They went deep into why these rules and regulations are needed. So God bless those states' attorney general who realize the importance of these proposed rules and regulations.
Yeah, they went very deep. Briefly, I'm going to go over some of the reasons why they support the regulations. They say, quote, "The proposed rule improves fairness in the motor vehicle dealer trade." Yeah. "Vehicles are essential to consumers, and this is vulnerable to exploitation." That's the one that stood out to me.
Yes.
Can we get an amen? Like, for real. Think about that. If you need a vehicle in America to get to work, which I know that's not the case in Europe, etc., we don't care about that right now. In America, vehicles are required for most of our lifestyles. They are being exploited right now when you're looking at dealer markups of, in some cases, $10,000 for a vehicle that's only supposed to cost $32,000 to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And they've also shouted out a few other reasons why they support it. The proposed prohibitions on misrepresentations and the transactions provide the needed transparency. So, yeah, they went deeper and deeper into that. It's encouraging, I would say. But what is the FTC actually going to do? Well, we already know that they rejected the extended timeline that the
Hmm.
NADA, which, by the way, Ray, stands for National Automobile Dealers Association, not North American Dealers
Sorry,
Association.
I lost. I
It's okay.
get
It's okay.
confused with all my acronyms.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
acronyms. But we'll make you some flashcards. They they already rejected the request to extend the deadline, so that's a win for the consumer. That means the NADA is not going to bow to the industry's demands. But
the FTC is not going to.
yes, what
Yes,
did I say? FDA.
NADA. See,
Oh,
even yeah. See,
yeah.
all these damn
I
acronyms,
need
all
flashcards.
these damn initials.
Yep.
Um,
We'll hire an
yeah, I
intern to make us flashcards.
yeah. Well, we have to hire an intern to make us flashcards, but that's a show for another day. But I think it's good news that 18 attorneys general have listen. They're faced with this nonsense every day. Their offices are getting complaints every day. I know part of NADA's pitch was that there's been like 150 billion transactions or whatever it was, and there's only been 37 enforcement complaints over the course of time. And they only receive 100,000 consumer complaints a year when there's 40 million sales, new and used sales a year. So trying to say that the numbers are small, but I think the first place an upset consumer would go would be to their own state's consumer affairs office and their own state's attorney general's office, and not necessarily say, where should I file a complaint? Oh, I should go to the FTC. No, I don't think most people would think that way.
Yeah.
They would think about a consumer affairs department in their own state or their own city or their own county. Um,
Hmm.
so my supposition is that there are a lot more than 100,000 complaints filed every year if you take all the complaints that are filed with all the various agencies throughout all the various governments, state, city, county, federal. Um, and it is an issue, and it has been an ongoing issue for God knows how many years. Um, well, let me think. I started in the business in 1977, and it was an issue then, and it's still an issue today. Um, so not much has changed. And I had this conversation with Zach. None of it matters. None of this matters if the FTC or any other agency doesn't enforce the rules and regulations, whether they be the ones that are already on the books or any new ones that might come along. The key is enforcement. The key isn't writing a new rule or regulation. It's enforcing the rule and regulation. The good dealers are going to follow the rules, whatever they may be. And the shady dealers are going to figure out ways to circumvent the rules if there's no enforcement of those rules.
Yeah, I
Are,
feel
are,
like the FTC's decided they need to spell it out for them because we've even heard the NADA say that some of these practices were already banned, but they still happen. They still happen all the damn time. So
mhm.
I feel like they had to spell it out for them, but 100% agree, 1,000% agree, Ray. You got to enforce it. I don't know. Are we going to see like instead of the CCC in the 1930s, the next time we have a big recession, are we going to have like an auto dealers enforcement crew that goes around and levies fines for shady misrepresentations of contracts?
Well, we need.
Jobs.
We just yeah, and maybe those are the jobs that we create. And I'm not
I
saying
was
we need.
joking.
I'm not saying we need more government employees.
Yeah, I was joking.
But what I am suggesting is that maybe we reassign some of the government employees that we have to actually be in charge of the oversight, um, so that we can actually hold dealers accountable. And it's not just the threat of being held accountable. It's they actually see their brethren being held accountable.
Yeah.
That to me is the important part. I don't know that you have to catch every crook, but if you catch enough crooks, then I think the theory is, well, you're going to scare off some other crooks from doing crooked things because they're afraid they're about to get caught or they will get caught. Um, we're not going to wipe it out completely, but if we can bring enough pressure to bear through enforcement, it might give some dealers a second thought about operating in a shady manner. So I don't know if we can impact 10%, 20%, 30% of the shady dealers to rethink how they do things because there's a fear that they might get caught, and they might lose a dealer's license to be able to sell. Maybe at that point we'll see some improvements in how things are done in how we sell cars in this country.
Yep. And Ray, how about we finish the show on a positive note? I have
I
some
like
positive
positive
news.
notes.
Oh, you do?
I
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have dodged the bullet narrowly because here we have some news out this morning that
Yes.
railroads and unions avoided a massive strike. 100,000 rail workers, which, they're fighting for their fair working conditions and whatnot, but
Yes.
we narrowly avoided this strike that would have severely, severely impacted the automotive industry. So all the problems we've been going on and on about for, I don't know, a year and a half would have gotten a lot worse very quickly if this was not resolved. And
And and
thankfully it
and
was.
truth of the matter is it would have impacted many industries above
Yeah.
and beyond the automotive industry. I mean, the big thing for automotive was, well, they ship a lot of cars by rail from manufacturing facilities, to uh, distribution centers so that they can get them out to the various dealerships. But so much of our supply chain, parts and other things for other industries are actually shipped via rail. That strike would have just really severely impacted the industries for the foreseeable future and impacted consumers even more because ultimately we end up paying for all this.
Yes, yes. Well, that's the only good news I've got. That's about it, Ray. So the rest is doom and gloom. But yeah, don't forget if you're even just curious about what it's like to buy or own an EV, you can see me any day of the week over at the YAA Electric YouTube channel. We welcome EV skeptics. You don't have to be a big EV fan to check out our content. So, Ray, I'm looking forward to having you over on my channel more often.
Well, I believe you have me scheduled to film some videos with you tomorrow. So I know we're meeting again tomorrow at 3 o'clock to film some videos. And if I may, I would be remiss, and Zach would hate me if I didn't mention this. There's a couple specials that we have going
Oh,
on here at YAA. If you're interested in joining YAA, we have, if you use the code FALL20, 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 that gets you 20% off a membership, whether it be monthly or annual. And we're running a second promotion, Fall 100, FALL 100.
is that
And if you use
100% off?
not quite,
Okay.
but because, well, hell, we couldn't stay in business if we did that. But if you are interested in a vehicle service contract, uh, you can use the code fall 100 and that'll get you $100 off your purchase price of that vehicle service contract. And as you know, we're very open about how much we charge over our cost. So typically our charge is $500 over what the cost is. So that if you see your service contract is $1,857, it means we get charged $1,357 by the vehicle service contract administrator. In this case, you would get $100 off. The 1837 would become 1737, and that savings goes entirely to you as the consumer. We're not saying you should buy a vehicle service contract. if you have an interest in it, check it out on our website at joinyaa.com. You can get all the information there. We understand there are people that do like them. There are people that don't like them. There are people who see value in them, and there's people who don't see any value in them.
And we've also
However,
had a lot of great success stories with them too.
and we have, and I'll say one more thing about vehicle service contracts, because Zach mentioned it the other day, that we have sold, since we started selling them, 1,000 vehicle service contracts. And somebody said, well, do the math. At $500, they've made $500,000.
Wow.
I'm going to, and my response was, let's really do the math. The average profit at a dealership when they sell a vehicle service contract is about $2,000. So in essence, we saved 1,000 people a total of $1.5 million that they wouldn't or didn't have to spend for those vehicle service contracts. We didn't pressure anybody to buy a service contract. We didn't force anybody to buy a service contract. We didn't sneak in selling them a service contract. We simply made them available to them. And those who purchased through us were able to save on average probably somewhere around $1,500 in the cost of that vehicle service contract. So, hey, if you want to hate us for making $500,000 on selling 1,000 service contracts, you can, but you should really be giving us a high five, because we saved people around $1.5 million by having them buy through us. That's all I'm going to say on that, damn it.
Well said, Ray. Well said. Well, go YAA, go Team YAA, saving people money while keeping the lights on.
Yes, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Justin, I want to thank you for filling in for my son, who's on a train. He's on his way back to the DC area. I will see you again tomorrow. And all you folks out there, thank you for being here today. Zach and I will be back here tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, from our worldwide headquarters of YAA in Bethesda, Maryland. So we'll see you all back here tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.